that clicking noise was. You're taking... Man, I lost a spider ball now. God damn it.
Kept changing color.
Alright, welcome to the vlog. This is my weekly yak about with regards to things going on in Heroclix. Be it whatever news WizKids passed by or figure previews of and powers that sound neat. I'm going to try to keep the topics as relevant as possible, and we're going to go from there. First thing we want to address, because it's been out there for a while and we haven't addressed it as a group here at Married with Clix, is the watch list. Okay, all your whining, they heard you. Can't complain about that. I do understand where everybody's complaining was coming from. The whole dynamic of the Ghost Rider thing was clearly and obviously very much the biggest thing in the game, considering it not only was the only thing being played for the most part, it was either the thing to counter, and we were all afraid of team bases a couple months ago. This is the thing that broke the team bases. So we all know that most of these things, almost everything about everything I just said is being looked after. The Ghost Rider team itself is being watched. The working together power is being re-talked about. The prep time power is being talked about. So let's talk about that. Also, Spiral is being talked about. Everybody, but the thing is, we saw Spiral coming when she showed up, and she just created more problems. So the working together power I want to address first. I've had a problem with it since the first time we got a chance to play team bases. I felt really bad about killing a Starro in one turn with the Villains United team bases, and it was not the best thing in the world. And it's not even the fact that, like, oh, I won. I felt so bad about how I won. I killed a 600-point figure with a 500-point figure in a single action. It's pretty ridiculous. It's a single action. It took multiple actions, and I mean, like, granted, the figure is dated, etc., etc. But you know, from there, I looked at it and said, "Holy crap, this is going to be the thing to beat now." I mean, I played it at 500 points, but even at 300 points, 3 actions from one figure that can do. Usually, these figures do 4 to 5 damage. It's pretty insane. So, now what I'm going to do is everything we address, I'm going to add my own personal what I think they should do spin to it. I look at this with 2 options. If they're going to be using the working together, I think, I heard a rumor, I don't know if this is true, that the working together power was supposed to be working in conjunction with the working together symbol that shows up on the asset dial. I don't know if that's the truth, but that makes sense to me. I haven't seen a team base that doesn't have one of those wild card or the working together asset dial icons. So it makes a whole lot of sense that you can only use that when that shows up. But there's still going to be that one turn where all of a sudden 36 damage is coming out of a Justice League, or 18 damage is coming out of a figure. It doesn't matter. It's a lot of damage. I mean, a single round figure only can take 11 clicks of damage unless you're Colleen Wing and Misty Knight. So that said, that's one of the options I can go with. The other idea I had, or I had mulled with, was doing something very similar to what they do with MultiAttack, where when you use MultiAttack, you get -1 attack. Now you can't just go -1, or not -1 attack, -1 damage. You can't go -1 damage on that, because it's still, you know, when you're doing 6 damage, you're doing we'll say 6 attacks. That's still 30 damage coming out. That's still a lot of damage. It could be that whole, maybe have a trailing reduction. So like the first attack is at full damage, the second one's -1, the third one's -2, fourth one's -3, anything like that. In regards to attacks, or whatever action gets you a -1. My first inclination though is to go with the asset dial idea that has been mulled around. And I mean, it does make some. I know there's some asset dials that start with that. And it's not 100% balanced, but I mean, you're paying a lot of points for these figures, so they've got to have a reason to be paying a lot of points for them. Not, you know, they shouldn't be sitting at a point where they should be paying more. Spiral's power is going to be a hard one to say how to fix it. The 2 most popular ideas are using either her range or her movement as the basis of how far the portal can go. even using the movement, if the right figure is behind it, it could still be an issue because she's still got the thing adjacent to her. There's 24 squares, so she's got a 12 movement to start. Maybe the range, but that then that I think the range would completely nerf the power because it completely kills the first second turn alpha strike out of it all. Or I've heard the idea of limiting I'm going to throw this out there. The idea of limiting it to her keywords is worthless because Ghost Rider is still mystical. She's still mystical. Mystical team is brutal. Mystical is the most powerful keyword that's not named, and it is the most powerful generic keyword. I used to think it was Soldier. Soldier's strong and very synergistic, but not as potent as Mystical can be because Mystical puts it out really hard, and a lot of mystical characters, lo and behold, have the Mystics keyword. That kind of ruins their day, or ruins everybody else's day. So Spiral's probably going to be the hard one for them to fix. I don't see it. I'm hoping within her movement, but there's nothing, maybe once per game, but there's still the Alpha Strike element of it all. So I don't know how to fix Spirals. Spirals is going to be the one where I can't look at that and go, that needs to be fixed, or how to fix that. All right, moving along. We're going to go with the prep time on the utility belt. This one has got to be the easiest fix in the world. You switch number 1 and any of the other numbers on those special powers, and what that does is that gets rid of prep time on the first turn. I don't care if prep time's mid dial, late dial. That doesn't matter at that point. By the time you get to the prep time at that point, a game has happened, and that's the big problem with prep time. Prep time's big thing is it just kind of because it can happen on the first turn. It means by turn 2 you've got a character with +2 to all its powers. People used to complain about the Infinity Gauntlet, but that you don't get +2 till way late in the dial on that. So I don't really see that as any sort of a problem whatsoever. You have to roll for it, and if your rolls are bad, and you can roll over it. I mean, there's all kinds of dice elements to that. With the prep time, you get that first turn +2, and then after that, I mean, anything doesn't really matter because you've done the damage already with +2 on turn 2 to everything. So it's quite simple. Switch the number. Prep time then becomes not the issue. You put it on, none of these powers that are on there do what prep time potentially does. Let people use items for relics for free. Let them drop them, whatever. It's not going to make it overpowered. So there's that. That's what I think. If WizKids, if you're watching, just switch 1 and 3 or 1 and 4 or 1 and 2. It doesn't matter. Switch them up. That's all you got to do. And then prep time's out of the first square. And now I don't know how you're going to do that or how you're going to rat it, or you're on your own on that one. But that's my personal suggestion. Next up is the police car. I've got an issue with this. I played it with it against Amber in a game we were playing the other day. I do have an issue with the way this is working, and I'm going to address the GCPD ATA with it. Free movement, this whole penchant towards free actions has got to get under control. There are way too many free actions just being handed out in the game, and it's becoming a point where the game is being based around making your team with as many free actions as humanly possible. You got something we're going to discuss later, but I played a GCPD or a police team against Amber. Only 2 of my figures didn't have the ATA, and they could make it across the board in a turn, which is the Ghost Rider problem. That ATA has got to be changed to something completely different. Make it a synergistic when they're next to each other, +1 to their attack, +1 to their movement. Anything but what it's doing right now. Mostly because a good portion of it is that synergy with the GCPD Cruiser. Now, let's get into the GCPD Cruiser itself. Why is it dealing penetrating damage? That is ridiculous. Why is it dealing penetrating damage? Why is a cop car dealing damage to the Hulk to people who who can shrug off cars. The Hulk has got, I've seen 1,000 comic books where the Hulk has had hundreds of cars thrown into him, or, you know, he's been hit by car after car after car, and the car takes the damage, not him. That penetrating damage doesn't make sense. I think it should be non-penetrating damage. Maybe a little bit. If you want to make it 2 damage, 3 damage, that's fine. But like impervious or other things, have got to be able to shrug it off. It's insane. The idea of the impervious power. This is a character who can take bullets, take tanks, take anything in the face, and possibly shrug it off. If a cop car is going through that, no. The cuff to the bumper thing, I'm cool with. That's a very thematic type of thing that, you know, where you know, you got a Commissioner Gordon or a GCPD officer just going that extra length, that extra little bit of police brutality. I like that power. That one makes sense to me. That other one, the clear the streets power, has got to go. Or it's not got to go, but it's got to be fixed. And again, it's that whole idea that a police car is dealing penetrating damage. I don't understand that fundamentally. I like Superman, the Hulk, big, tough, I can take punches in the face characters should be shrugging this off. Now, after I've addressed these things, let's go down to the bottom of the list where we have the Brother Voodoo and the Batmite. We got to talk about the Heroes for Hire team, ATA. That's got to get changed too. Once per game, maybe, like, if you're going to keep the power the way it is, like, it's very thematic in the idea that they have a certain budget and they work harder with a higher budget, so if there's more, then blah, blah, blah. Like, thematically, I understand what they're doing, but balance-wise, it went beyond what they wanted to do. I don't think they read what characters had Heroes for Hire, and I'm going to be really honest from their point of view. I don't think the guys designing the Marvel team took the utility belt into account. You can't blame them. WizKids isn't as big a team as, or big a company as we give them credit for. There's a certain number of people working in a certain amount of time frames on many licenses, and they got to get this stuff out under deadlines. I can't blame them for overlooking this. Every QA thing, QA in video games, QA in real game or in board games, you miss something. Something gets overlooked. You don't understand something. It happens. This ATA was overlooked. I can't hold it against anybody. It happens. These things get overlooked. Now, if I was to keep the power in the same way it's going to happen, I say drop the tokens and make the Heroes for Hire happen once per game, period. Once per game, give a character with the Heroes for Hire team ability, a character using this ATA, an action. Now, it kind of makes it redundant to have too many of them with it, but again, it's an uncopyable ATA. It happens once per game, and it breaks this whole overabundance of free actions in a single turn thing. Now, when we get down to the bottom levels of all this stuff above the last two figures, the last two figures being Batmite and Brother Voodoo, the big thing about everything above that is once the Heroes for Hire is nerfed, Brother Voodoo's already nerfed. Brother Voodoo's strong, don't get me wrong. I've seen him, he's powerful. But he's a prime, you know? There isn't a single prime. I've played with almost every single prime figure with the exception of maybe Selena Kyle. They are very undercosted for what they are. They're all very potent, but you only allowed one prime per team. So you're not, like, you got these characters are undercosted, and they're a little bit more powerful than you expect them to be at their cost, but you're only allowed the one, and that's one prime, period. It's not like I can have a Cerise and a Deathlock on a soldier team. I'm stuck picking either or. Both are very effective, but, you know, I can only pick one. Batmite has a downside to his thing, where if you roll one, I mean, if you really want to nerf it, make it roll a 2, or 1 or a 2, and he takes, the opponent gets to do some damage or whatever. You know, that's the only minor thing I can see with as far as a change to Batmite. I mean, so... That said, I gotta say WizKids really stepped it up on this one. I wish they would have done this back when Arkham Asylum was the metagame thing, because you have to do this. They have to address this when everybody, like when a tournament has a team and it's just a single build of a team. There's no variation. Everybody complained about the Gauntlet, but if you look at, like, there's videos that HC Realms put up of the worlds. And there's some very, very different teams. I mean, there was 2 teams I think I saw with Superman, the 150-point Superman with the Gauntlet. But I mean, there was a Gauntlet on every team, but every team was different to some degree. There's variations on everything, and it wasn't like immediately after that tournament, Morgan Le Fay was the metagame. I mean, immediately after the Dragon Con finals, it was a scientist team with Superman and some AIM agents versus an Eradicator and a Superman, the classic JSA style Superman, and he was using that one to sacrifice to get Eradicator even bigger, which I thought was a pretty neat strategy. Anyway, that said, WizKids, thank you for the watch list. Those are my suggestions. Feel free, add your comments in the bottom if you disagree with my ideas. WizKids isn't going to listen, might not listen to me. They might. I don't know if they watch our videos ever. So, we're just going to move along to the next part. Okay. I want to address something that's been progressively happening. I know Amber might be able to say she's been playing as long as me. I know I played this game. I maybe picked it up 2 or 3 days after it came out, and I had used to work for another company, miniatures company. I think you all know, Games Workshop. I got fired from there. I was a young kid. I made a lot of mistakes in my job. You know, you collect the written warnings, and you get the old axe. That said, immediately after, when I was working for the company, I had heard that we put in the bid for the Marvel license, but WizKids beat us. So, I mean, I'm free of that company. I'm not really loyal to them anymore. So I pick up Heroclix, and this is like 2 or 3 days after it comes out, like 11 years ago. And here we are now. So we're talking 11, almost 12 years into this game. Points cost then versus points cost now is vastly different. And I'm talking, you used to have 19-point superheroes. Like there was Boom Booms who were under 20. There was characters that we read in comic books were all over the place. They were under 50s. There were some Wolverines. All the Wolverines were under 100. But the other thing too is everything on the dials was colored, so there was no white powers. It was all like, and I mean, it was a big undertaking when they added the new powers to the game. Like recently with the pink powers, it's a huge undertaking because like what more can you add to the game that's just standard? So and even the pink powers that they've added so far, I never saw a character with these powers. So I mean, maybe it's a fundamental thing they were looking at and saying maybe it's time to make these characters That said. The point costs from then till now it started in Avengers. We're gonna go right from there, like where that backstory goes. Look at the old days of the rookie experience veteran sets. There was 3 different versions of every character, different point values, and then when Avengers hit, it was a hard reset on the standard. Even though in the modern age of the game, characters without cards were part of the modern age game. The Avengers was that set that started something great, in my opinion, but at the same time started something a little harder to do, and it was all these characters we now understood that they were gonna be way more comic accurate. You had these white powers that gave them the company the complete freedom to do whatever they want. They could, make a power that fully reflects the character's ability to ignore hindering terrain, ignore, certain types of powers, because, some characters are immune to psychics, so let's make them immune to the thing of Psychic Blast. But that had to come with point cost. Now, people complain about things being under and overcosted nowadays. You look at figures back then, a 60-point figure, you were dealing 7 clicks sometimes. Granted, the numbers in the dial got really ridiculous, though. You'd be attacking 12 defenses with 6 attacks. Like, some late games got ridiculous. My 6 versus your 12, I need a 6. Those words I don't use anymore. I've never seen a 6 attack. I've maybe not been paying attention, or maybe I don't use those figures, but that kind of low value doesn't exist anymore. So, yeah, we're going to see a bump in points if that kind of thing isn't going to happen anymore. In addition, the whole idea of the game has taken a big shift from that rookie experience veteran, and as a result, the game's had to rebuild over since the release of Adventures, and they still, even when the game first came out, they didn't get it right. They weren't, like, nothing was 100% perfect, especially in the REV days. Nothing was perfect. Everything was just the colors that they had, and it was really hard to accurately reflect, you know, how the Hulk would react to being shot. Now you got the World Breaker who gets shot and bases you in a reaction. I mean, granted, they had the Bizarro dials where, like, some characters would get stronger later in the dial, but certain characters, they suffered for the lack of innovation, lack of ability to do things with this. So, I mean, point costs are very different now, guys. One of the big it's one of those arguments that people seem to have is this is undercosted, this is overcosted. Well, I mean, I'm gonna say there are some things that are undercosted. If you look at the point costs per click on vehicles, they're deep. They're way too deep. The cop car at 68 points for 12 clicks. It's impossible to get an 11 click figure who's 300 points. But things have changed. I watched a gigantic argument about, you know, a guy saw the new Deathstroke that just got announced for Arkham Origins, and he was arguing, oh my god, that character is Juggernaut level of power, and it's like, well, yeah, because that Juggernaut you're basing it on is several years old. In addition, they also have these powers that this character has reflecting on them that they have to address, you know? I mean, yeah, sure, okay, Deathstroke isn't supposed to be as powerful as Juggernaut, but they've given him powers that make it so that he can't take down Juggernaut. And, you know, Deathstroke's a tough guy. Now that said, a lot of the times it seems like the characters are made in isolation of each other. You know, when you can't... I feel as though the WizKids is still operating under the impression that Marvel and DC act independently of each other, and maybe the design teams are completely different, or maybe the licensing issues. We don't know these things because they don't tell us. It's really hard to argue about these things when they're trying to make a game. A game needs balance. We have to accept that they need to balance a game. And there's only so far that they can go with regards to comic accuracy before a game starts to break. And it's really hard to reflect these things. Everybody, like, players who... I love Deathstroke as a character. I want to be able to play Deathstroke. But I also don't want to constantly look across the board and say, he's got a Superman, I'm going to lose. They need that balancing act to some degree. And I think they're doing a good job. There's no reason to complain right now. I mean, there's some things, like I said at the beginning, they messed up some stuff. Let them fix. They're pretty good about fixing their errors and coming back and scratching things out and being like, whoop, we overlooked that. I mean, look at the fan-made characters from ever since the Web of Spider-Man Nightcrawler came out. Everything after that, it's just... they've been watched, you know? Nothing's been really game-breaking since then. I mean, George Masu took his Black Adam to the finals, but hell, he played the hell out of that, and he knew that figure because he made it. You can't... You gotta overlook certain things. And in an ever-changing game like Heroclix, the game is constantly on a shift in some direction. We gotta be patient with WizKids. Let them know, you know, politely, that, you know, they know things are changing. Things are constantly changing. You can't compare a figure from 2 years ago to a figure now. That's one of the things I've gotta put out there, and yeah, we're gonna carry on to the next topic from there. This is this bothers me so much. I like to play this game. I love to play a lot. I married a woman who likes to play this game with me. We do a show called Married with Clix. We love this game. But you can't be playing the same way all the time, you know? It's like, oh, my Avengers have got to, like, after you've done that 1,000 times, it's time to try the game. You know, see what we can, like, you know, we can do X-Men versus Brotherhood till we're red in the face. And before I continue on, I apologize that my team was not 100% thematic. We somewhat lacked some Brotherhood, and Amber insisted we do X-Men versus Brotherhood. I didn't want to play that particular build of it. But courtesy of the guys at Troll and Toad, we have ordered, and they are on the way, a proper team that we will have a rematch for you guys of a video, and I will have Mystique, Blob, and Pyro on my team. I promise you guys. Okay, just relax. I'm sorry. Going back to what I was saying, is attacking players for non-theme is... even when you play this game a lot, you can't constantly play it the same way. You know, I have played hundreds of thousands. Okay, I haven't played hundreds of thousands, but I've played thousands of games of Heroclix, and like you play in tournaments. I played in pre-releases. I play with buddies. I play with strangers. And the thing is when you play with different people all the time, they look at you based on that one time you played them, and sometimes it's, you know, it gets a little rude when you start going, well, that wasn't Avengers team. That's a terrible build. Oh, that Batman would never work with that Marvel character. You know what? If they couldn't, the rules wouldn't allow it. It's a very upsetting trend for me. These guys who play in Worlds, you got to understand is when you get the highest level of competition, the rules are there. And these guys are there to use the rules to the best of their ability to win. And, you know, you got to let them. Especially at a high competition like Worlds, or when you get in local competitive tournaments, you know, a guy wants to win a prize. Okay, well, you can't always be playing the comic book accurate teams all the time. If you want comic book accurate, you go read the fucking comic books. That's what they're there for, man. Like, the whole... When I first bought this game 11 years ago, the side of the box said, what if, and it had like 4 different outrageous, ridiculous things on the box. What if the Masters of Evil fought the X-Men? What if the Fantastic Four worked with Doctor Doom? Like, come on! That was the entire selling purpose of the goddamn game. Fuck! Lay off of these people, man. You know, it's like, oh, Ghost Rider wouldn't use a utility belt. Dude, it's magic, man! Who's to say Mephisto didn't steal the utility belt off of Batman's waist with magic? Oh, all of a sudden he doesn't have a utility belt. Here, Ghost Rider or Zarathos, my little demon friend. Go use your utility belt and fuck some shit up. I mean, come on! Use your goddamn imagination, players! Fuck! My vlog is slowly becoming a rant the more and more I come across these topics, and this one is the one that gets me the most angry. Oh my god! Oh, my buddies are also, like, sometimes my friends are a little notorious for it. I got one who's really bad for it. It's like, oh, they would never work together. It's like, fuck you, man. You know what? I'll write a comic book where they'll do it. So, goddamn, Heroclix... Heroclix is a what-if game, okay? You and your buddies, you're sitting in your basement. Oh, I don't think Atuma could take out Batgirl. Well, let's fucking do it. Roll it now. God. Alright, upcoming sets. Invisible Iron Man. Me and Amber are looking to probably get a break of that. I don't know. It seems like it's going to be more. I mean, I've seen 2 figures and I'm screaming awesome. Ironmonger is absolutely amazing. I like that his power doesn't need line of sight. I like that it says, fuck you to the Mystics. I like it. I honestly like it a lot. I read an article somewhere a little while back. It might have been only a week ago now that I'm thinking about it, where there was a guy who addressed the current state of the metagame, which was, where are our counter pieces? And it was a really strong article. I mean, there's, like, he addressed characters like Kid Zoom, who's now out of the modern age, but who's taking his place? Is it Kid Zoom? I think it's Kid Zoom. I don't know. I think it was a character that stopped Hypersonic. And then there's Harry Leland, who George Masu took with him to the finals, just sitting beside his Black Adam, so he can get his Infinity Gauntlet working. It was, where are characters like this? That's what you really have to be asking. It's not, why is the metagame broken? It's, where's the things that are supposed to be stopping the metagame? They had a small chain of figures. You had, we had John Constantine show up in Justice League 52. We had, what did we have? We had Catwoman and Iron Man show up in the 10th anniversary sets of Marvel and DC, respectively. We have things that stopped some things, but there's not enough. Now, I have to go back a second and go, well, there is some in the new Batman 66 set with the Mr. Freeze. Everybody within 4 squares of him is now no longer allowed to use range unless they use Incapacitate. So, if you've got a utility belt, guess what? It's time to start using those Batarangs. Like, there's... Where is that? You know, that's one of the big things about the game. Now, Iron Man, I've only seen the Iron Man figure and the Ironmonger, I believe, are the only ones that have been previewed so far. I've heard rumors that there's going to be an Alpha Flight ATA after its release. I was listening on I was on Glass Cabinet's YouTube channel, and they had a great round table after Gen Con, and I think Patricia let the cat out of the bag on that one. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with that. It's a fan-made, I think it's the first fan-made ATA, so we'll see how that goes. And then, it's going to be neat to see some Alpha Flight figures. I might be just chasing after them. I'm not sure. I think at this point, I do have to look at the set before I decide on it, but the last time I did that was Amazing Spider-Man, and I really regret not buying that right off the bat. But I ended up buying enough Amazing Spider-Man to get most of what I wanted from the set, and I had to cherry pick a few figures from the internet. So, on to the my other Marvel announcement we've recently heard was the Days of Future Past set. It's great because Wolverine and the X-Men lacked a little bit of Brotherhood presence. I mean, there's some figures, as I'm sure some of you saw in our game, with the Brotherhood keyword. There's everything that's on the Brotherhood of Mutants team base. There's Shadow King. There's no, not Legion. I wanted to use them a couple times, I know. There's Shadow King and X-Man. But it's not your traditional Brotherhood. Because GSX got phased out in the last Modern Age shift, I think they overlooked the fact that Mystique, Pyro, Blob, Avalanche don't exist in the current Modern Age metagame. So I'm hoping that's what their goal was with this set, is because we've seen it, like the figures we saw in the picture were the Wolverine in front of the poster wall. We saw Destiny, and it looked like an Avalanche. Don't quote me on that. But I'm really looking forward to this set on the Marvel side of things. We'll see where it goes. I'm a big fan of that idea to fill out my Brotherhood at the very least. And, Marvel's been a little lacking in the small sets outside of their movies. DC seems to have nothing but small sets coming out. All of them listed as Batman. Don't get me wrong, I'm okay with Batman, but DC's got to let off the leash a little on some of their licenses, which is another thing I want to get into some other time. I'll probably do that on my next vlog, where we're going to address the disparity between Marvel and DC in this game. I'll get into that. Continuing on the Marvel side of things, we got Thor: The Dark World set coming out. Really not caring. I got a Thor coming up in the Avengers vs. X-Men starter. We just got a Thor in the Avengers movie set. We got a Thor in Chaos Wars 3 times over. Oh, there's so many Thors. And there are going to be at least 2 or 3 Thors in this set. I mean, it's going to be cool. There's going to be a Malekith. Malekith has been phased out since Hammer Thor's been phased out, so he's going to be Modern Age again. But it's a movie set, and I'm not sure how I feel about it. I'm not racing out to get it. I might pick up a few packs here and there. I might trade for some figures, but I'm not racing for that set. Mostly because we need to breathe. We're treading water here after Wolverine and the X-Men. And we got Mage Knight coming up too, which I'm going to discuss a little later. So come on, let me get some air, please. Scuba gear, something. I need a lifeline. It feels like there's almost a Heroclix release every other week. Going on to the DC side of things, we do have Arkham Origins coming out based on the video game. I've already gone into length about how excited I am about the Deathstroke to some degree. I love Deathstroke. He's a very, very, very villain of mine. Probably because I liked Deadpool in Marvel and Deathstroke in DC. Something about those characters I really like. Deadpool less so these days, though, because he's kind of become a joke of himself. But that's what happens when a character who was barely a character in a certain year of comics. Anyway, so we've seen a Deadshot, and we've seen a Deathstroke. Deadshot is really strong, and I'm kind of excited to see how he works out. First character I've seen with improved targeting, and I believe that set's coming out in October, and I'm pretty sure that Invincible Iron Man's coming out in November. So everybody who said, "Oh, Marvel gets the improved targeting first," you're wrong. You're very wrong. Further on in the DC side, we've heard rumors of the Superman and the Legion of Superheroes with 800 different sub-themes in it. And how many Legion of Superhero characters are you going to have in the set? Is there going to be a Superman character, some Legion of Superheroes, and then you got the Legion of Doom, and you got, oh my god!
The new god.
The new gods are going to be in it too? I mean, we're obviously probably not going to see a big Barda in it, but, I mean, oh god, are we going to see another Metron? What are you going to do with Metron this time, WizKids? Watch yourself this time! Also on the horizon.
Damn so.
Also on the horizon, we have the Yu-Gi-Oh! I played the game a couple times, the card game. Yeah, you know what? This is gonna be one of those things that's not my target audience, so I'm not gonna buy it. And if they get their target audience, good on them. The Yu-Gi-Oh! Fans are rabid fans. I don't know if their fan base fits in our game. I know in some of the venues in the past that we've played in, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Players and the Heroclix players didn't exactly see eye to eye, mostly because they couldn't see past our waists. So that was a height joke, not stop it. And Mage Knight. Now Mage Knight is a one where you're gonna get a 50-50 split. Some of us have been playing for a long time. Some of us played Mage Knight before Heroclix. I didn't. I got Mage Knight after I got into Heroclix, but Mage Knight was fun. It was a fun game, and this set is going to be able to be played both ways. You don't have to buy it. You don't have to play them. That's one of the beauties of this game is with all these licenses that are there, we all have the option to play what we want. Everybody can now fit in. It's just a shame that you can't do it competitively for everything. But one of the things you got to remember is when you vote with your wallet for the Mage Knight, you're putting your hand on the in the pocket of WizKids. You're saying, we want you to continue as a company. Because Mage Knight is something WizKids made. It's not another company's property. This is something 100% WizKids... Well, I mean, maybe they worked with somebody. I'm not going to... WizKids came up with Mage Knight. Mage Knight didn't exist before WizKids existed. So we have to look at that and go, this is their property. 100% of this goes to them. This isn't like the Marvel and the DC Heroclix where they have to keep pumping them out because they need to make some kind of profit margin, otherwise the licensing fees are going to murder them. They do have to kind of keep their eye on this stuff. So, me and Amber are going to be backing Mage Knight. We're going to place the Mage Knight, both in Mage Knight form and in Heroclix form. We're really looking forward to that. Some of the team abilities look really strong. The Mage Spawn that we've seen so far is ridiculously strong, on par with the GCPD ATA. I think that's all we have to address at this point. Okay, excellent. State of the organized play scene. So with Fear itself, I'm winding down. We're seeing less people show up for it. I don't have a problem with Fear itself. I thought it was great. Me and Amber haven't really been buying stuff outside of the packs we've been getting. We've been trading with people with our Fear itself stuff. If you rush to get a set like Fear itself, I think could have been great. It turned out to be okay. The event itself is fun. The resource is great to have. People have been complaining, why do we need the resource when we have the figures? The resource is one of those things where not only are we're buying the packs, which means we're supporting the game. And then the resource items are something that's saying, thank you for supporting the game. And the big prizes are, hey, thank you for being great at supporting the game. That's all I can say really is it's been good. And it's been fun. And the fact that people are tapering off because they went in a rush to collect things, I can't blame them for not coming, but I can, what were you guys expecting when you collected it all off the bat? You know, you knew there was going to be 6 months of this tournament. Why did everybody rush? That said, let's talk about what's coming up. We have Avengers vs. X-Men. Big event. 4-month event, I believe. Yep, thank you, Amber. She's nodding at me over there off the camera. She's just kind of keeping an eye on me, keeping me in my shorts. So, okay, I'm lying. I'm not in my pants. I am wearing pants, right? Amber, double check for me. I am wearing pants. Okay, cool. So we're going into Avengers vs. X-Men. Me and Amber have chosen our sides. It's great. It's convenient. We're a couple. We play Heroclix. So one of us chooses one side, one of us chooses the other side, and we get to shift our clicks between each other. If she doesn't like something on the X-Men side, I might like it. She might not be a big fan of Danger. I'm going to be a bit of a fan of Danger, I'm sure. So we'll see where that goes. I'm really excited about it. First of all, it's going to be great to be constructed. Very excited. All this sealed was a little brutal. The stores probably won't like it as much because they were making money on Fear itself. Manufacturer suggested retail prices on things mean that the manufacturer suggesting you tell people to pay this much for something so you can make a profit. I can agree with that. I can also agree with stores liking the idea of sealed because they get money in the store. From there, like when it's a constructed tournament, we got to be patient with the venue. They are not going to be big fans of this up front because first of all, it's $90 a month for the venue to have it. So now, and that covers 20 people. So if 20 people show up, it depends. And if your venue's selling or not charging you to play in the tournament, you got to tell them to charge you for the tournament so that you can have more of them. They're not going to be big fans. In our case, we've actually suggested to our judge that they up our usual in our venue. It's $2 to enter the tournament. Mostly, probably a space rental. The guys they own a sizable comic shop and they they have a gaming area. But when we're taking up space, we're making noise. It might turn off some people. So in the case of when you're offering the $2, that's probably covering just the OP kit that comes with the case. Because I don't think those things are free. Correct me if I'm wrong, but when people are charging $50 for them, I don't think they're free. But when we go into Avengers vs. X-Men, suggest to your judges maybe up the price for your tournaments because they're giving you things, man. The X-Men side gets free figures. The Avengers side gets free figures. Everybody gets pieces of the resource. We're getting something for it. You're not paying just for the chance to play. You're paying for these figures, these pieces of the resource, and some of you walk out with the map, man. What's wrong with that? You know what I'm saying? So, personally, I've suggested to our venue, I'd be willing to pay $10 a month. It's once a month to play this. I'll also support my venue further by buying packs at the venue every time I go to tournaments, or buying stuff at the venue, comic books if Heroclix is not something I need at the point. So, when it comes to the OP scene, support your venue by buying things at your venue. There's only so much you can do, but they're businesses. They need money. Help them make some money because otherwise they can't keep the doors open. They can't keep their employees paid. They can't let you guys play Heroclix in their places. So, I know for the most part Heroclix isn't the mainstay. I'm sure Magic the Gathering is still way stronger than Heroclix in most venues. But if you're not helping your venue, you aren't putting forth your effort. Why should they have the tournaments for you? Anyway, I could go on that rant all day. The state of organized play, in my opinion, it's going way better. Especially once I've seen what's coming with the Invincible Iron Man. It scares me a little, but it excites me at the same time. Because it's already been announced that the 10th ring for the Mandarin's ring resource is only available in the OP kit. And the resource, holder thing is only available in the OP resource. Or in the OP kit. So this thing is going to be a fight to get. Play your asses off for it. Believe me, play whatever you want, man, because that expect that tournament to be vicious. It's one of those things. And going back to my, attacking players for non-theme. When you get to a certain type of prize, you have to expect to play a certain type of way. You can't go in with the happy-go-lucky Howard the Duck team. I don't know why Howard the Duck. Howard the Duck. You can't play your Howard the Duck team and expect to win when you're playing for a resource that's way more limited than in the Gauntlet was. The Gauntlet, the utility belt, they gave those away. The Book of Skulls, it gave those away. The Mandarin's ring base is going to be a fight. You have to play your butts off, expect to see cheese, If you don't want to play in the tournament for cheese or whatever, buy it on eBay. Don't go to the tournament. Don't whine when you get beat by cheese in that tournament, because that is going to be a very, very vicious tournament, in my opinion. I know my venue might be playing hard for it. They might be sick about resources. Who knows? Just expect certain types of prizes, you have to play a certain way. And if you don't play the certain way, you didn't want the prize that bad, you really should be looking at competitive in a different light. We're going to have some questions about a new thing coming out. And it's the Arkham Origins Batman has been previewed, and he's got a white power that's really neat. And some people aren't seeing the aspects of it that are important. So we got a map out here. I'm going to use a Batgirl to show off a figure, and Oracle's going to be her target. Fitting, right? So we're going to change the camera angle to the board, and I'm going to give it a little story. Alright, so in this example we have Batman, the part of the new Batman being played by Batgirl, and we have the part of Oracle being the villain. Oracle. Peeing on a person in a wheelchair. It's not really a nice thing to do. Or the Joker. Alright, the Joker. Excellent. Little revenge story. Now, normally in this situation, you see 1, 2, 3... Now, the Batman has a 7 range. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, we got a piece of blocking terrain here and a piece of blocking terrain here. It means normally the Batman wouldn't be able to hit this Joker. Now, with this ability, I'm going to use a poker chip here to signify how it's going to work. Now, the remote control batarang power, it's going to allow you to pick a spot within your line of fire to draw a line of fire to that figure, but that figure still has to be within the range. Now, because the Joker is still within 7 range of the Batgirl, and now I can draw a line of fire from the poker chip here, I can now hit the Joker, but I am going to be having the hindering terrain marker to up the defense. So, from here, normally, where the Batgirl is, the Batman couldn't make the attack, but now, since he can make the attack. With the hindering terrain bonus. So he'll be a 17 defense with whatever Batman's attack is. I'm hoping that people kind of get this power and see its potential, because it is an amazing power and it shouldn't be overlooked in how effective it is at getting around corners, getting around annoying blocking terrain, everything like that. So topics we've gone over today, the watch list. Very excited that WizKids is looking over it, but I'm not going to expect anything very soon, and I've given my ideas on it. Point cost nowadays versus the old days, they're different. The old game is different from the new game. 2 years ago was different from the current game. We just have to understand, and you adapt or die. That's pretty much my opinion in any collectible game, is you have to adapt or you die. You drown. So you got to keep it on that. We talked about the upcoming sets, what we're excited about, what we're not so excited about. We'll see where it goes. We talked about, the trend of attacking players for not playing thematically. And then my final thought, I'm going to go on a final thought and a final rant on that. Guys, let people play how they want to play. It's a full what-if game. Don't insult people for the way they play the game. If you don't like the way they're playing the game, think about where you're playing the person and then address it. If I understand if you're playing at home and somebody's always playing Ghost Rider with a utility belt and the Heroes for Hire ATA, okay, it's time to talk to your buddy and say, hey, try something new, man. I know even me and my guys, we're all guilty of something, so we started a neat little thing that we're going to talk about next week, which is a neat thing to try with your friends if you get together regularly for Heroclix. Ours is getting a little harder and harder because everybody's moving further and further away from each other. We'll see where it goes from there. But please, just be polite to each other, man. It's okay to say, I wouldn't play a team like that, but that team worked well. But don't be like, that wasn't fucking thematic. Do you even read comic books? Because you know what? I play some really weird stuff sometimes in teams, and I read a lot of comic books. So, we talked. We did a little quick demonstration on the new Arkham Origins Batman white attack power. I'm hoping people who didn't understand that understand it now. Now that they've seen it. Otherwise, feel free to shoot us a comment or an email, and we could try to explain it a little further with pictures. And we talked about the state of the OP organized play scene. So I thank you guys for watching this. So stay tuned next week when we... Large awkward pauses. Feel free to stop the video. Stay tuned next week when we talk about more about Mage Knight and what we plan to do with it with Married with Clix. And we talk about a neat little idea that we came up with to play with our buddies every so often and to mix up the game. Thank you very much. And we'll see you guys next week and this weekend.